Top of the A, top of the day, top of the king. And not to brag, the chain's expensive, a lot for the ring. Been through a lot, even had the cop a squat in the bing. But that's okay, cause I came home and I hopped in that thing. And dead or alive, that's just the way the streets leave. It's the difference between the streets and street legal.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Street Legal. Good to be back. We had last week off due to personal situations that I had. My daughter's concert, fourth grade concert, which, got to take care of those family matters. But tonight, I'm joined here tonight. I'm Bob Macedonio, obviously, and I'm joined here tonight with my co-host, Link.
Peace,
we have a special guest tonight. I appreciate him coming out. Harold Bush. Harold, one of the case managers for Judicial Diversion Program, also known as Drug Court in New York. He works out of a county court in Riverhead. And we're here to discuss, what Drug Court does, what JTB does, and how it's helped many individuals in the county and what the future holds for it. And we appreciate any calls in tonight, 833-0000. And again, Harold Bush, JDP. Harold, why don't you take over, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about the Judicial Diversion Program out in County Court in Riverhead.
Sure. Case manager. I've been working out in Riverhead since 2013, but I've been with the court system since 2003. Started out in family court with the juvenile treatment court and the family treatment court. Dealing with kids with substance abuse, dealing with mothers and fathers with neglect cases with substance abuse. And then I had the privilege of being asked to go out to Riverhead to county court for the Judicial Diversion Program, which is the Reform Rockefeller Drug Laws, Article 216, and help people get their lives back together, treatment instead of incarceration.
Yeah, and I work with Harold almost on a daily basis. We have many cases that go in front of the Judicial Diversion Court, also known as Drug Court, and we've graduated many people, and I got a person say Harold handles his job there with the utmost respect, and he's a great asset to that program.
Yeah. Just meeting him now. I've heard about him for years, though, because he's involved in reforming, I want to say, a lot of the people who I know personally, and they go through his program. So just meeting him in person, you get a real good energy from you, and you would seem like you'd be very easy to work with.
He's a big guy. You better get a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, damn, is parole coming? But his energy is real good, though, and it's real easy to talk to you and be in a space with you. So I could imagine getting through that program successfully.
Thank you.
And I've had clients there at Harold. We may not agree on a case by case basis. Some of my clients have been put incarcerated because they messed up in the program, and I may not agree or disagree with Harold. But I have the utmost respect for him. Harold, prior to working in JDP and county court, you worked in the family court also, correct?
Yes.
And what type of cases did you come across in the family court? Was it similar drug cases, or what was your?
Yeah, similar drug cases. Family court was different because I was working with the juveniles in the beginning. And getting some of the Penn's cases back at that time, and some of the JD cases.
Yeah.
So helping them to get into treatment and at least plant the seed of recovery and stuff like that, so they wouldn't go on further when they got older to commit more crimes. All right.
So that lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Harold, we talked about this briefly before. Do you see any correlation between the kids that were in family court because their parents were fighting over custody, or there was neglects brought, and then them ending up in the county court JDP program? Have you been?
Honestly, I've been fortunate not to see too many of my kids that I used to work with in family court. I can count on one hand on how many cases that I've had that came to JDP that was in family court.
Right.
Okay. And Harold,
that's good though.
Out of the cases, you guys handle hundreds of cases a week.
Correct.
What drug? Like what's out there right now that's the main thing that's hurting our society and putting people into the system?
Heroin,
and that's
fentanyl.
any kind of opiates. The pills, the heroin,
pills,
fentanyl,
oxys.
And what can we do to prevent people from even getting into the system? Like where are we breaking down as a society? What's getting these kids involved into this? Educating what at the younger levels, maybe elementary school. Like when do we start? Because it's a very costly process. Listen, you guys have a great program. Probation department works with you. You got the court system, the court officers. You got many advocates, but it's costly.
I know geniuses that do heroin though. I mean, education, yes, I could see that being like a catalyst for a diversion, right? But
yeah.
I know geniuses that do heroin, like literally daily, and can't function without it, and you wouldn't even know that this is what they do because they made it like such a part of who they are. It's ingrained in their daily living. So, and they're not stupid people. You know, they received education.
True.
Probably may not be as educated as how high up you've gone, but they're like educated enough to where they're smarter than me, and still they do these things.
Link, part of the problem, and Harold, you can agree with this or disagree, is today when you're on the street buying drugs, you don't know what the hell you're buying.
True.
So every time you want to, shoot something up, snort something, or pop a pill, you're taking a risk with your life.
But again, if we look at how an individual started,
correct?
Okay, now as far as judicial diversion is concerned, and what I do, and when I screen people and meet people, and I get the history,
right?
All right. For a while, the average age that was coming through JDP was anywhere between 24 and 32. Okay. And when you do their history with their substance abuse, most of the people that I was getting at one point in time were when they first started using was when they were in
early
high school,
adolescent, right?
You got the football players who get hurt. They
get a prescription for
prescription meds.
Broken leg in a car accident.
Yes,
it all
oxys,
right?
all of that, and once the doctors stopped them from the oxys that they're addicted to now, then what do you go from there? Because they're hooked.
Right.
Well, fortunately, a lot of those doctors, there's been a push to prosecute them because they were writing out prescriptions like it was giving out Tic Tacs for a while.
Yeah.
You could
a lot of them are being prosecuted or have been prosecuted. They even going after not that the pharmaceutical companies are really going to have to pay anything crazy for what they've done, but they even going after them for as much as they can. But that's political.
There was a push for the pharmaceutical companies to have these doctors write as many scripts as they possibly could.
Right.
There was a push for a while, not knowing the adverse effect it would have, because for a period of time it was so easy to go in to multiple doctors and get.
Yeah, but you can't do that anymore.
You can't do that anymore,
right?
Because they caught on.
Right.
And if you bypass your insurance, you can pay cash for the script. And then a lot of people caught on to that and said, you know what, this is a good way to make money.
Right. So for JDP, what is the criteria you have to meet to qualify for this program?
Discuss some of what crimes are eligible, what crimes are not eligible, and how does a person know when they get arrested? They come see their attorney.
Right.
Am I eligible for JDP? Am I not eligible for JDP? What,
Well, we don't take violent felony offenders.
So is it a recent, if you're charged or indicted on a recent violent, or does they have a violent in your background? Because there's some confusion of whether or not you're eligible if you had a violent crime 8 years ago, you served your sentence, and now you get jammed up on a drug charge. Are you not eligible to go into JDP?
No, if you serve this, if it's 8 years, it has to be 10 years of no contact
with the system.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That means parole is done, everything.
So you get 10 years from your parole sentence being over.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So just to be clear, y'all, what he's saying is that if you stayed out of trouble for 10 years, but your parole still lasted beyond that 10 years, your 10 years don't start until the end of your parole date.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then your 10 years start. And then you need that 10 years to be clean.
And the new charge, God forbid you get a new charge, it cannot be a violent crime. So you're not even eligible to be screened.
Right.
So how you come in, you have 3 grand larcenies. You indicted on 3 grand larcenies, first time offender, you're eligible to be screened off the bat, correct?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. So then what criteria do you look for when you're screening someone to see whether, they're just BSing their way to get into drug court, or, trying to get out of the charges? Some people just commit crimes for the, financial opportunity, has nothing to do with drugs, but they want to use drug court as an escape to get off a charge.
Right.
How do you guys, weed out the BS?
The history.
But
and we have to make sure that their charge, their drug use was a contributing factor to their crime.
To the crime.
Right.
All right. Like Berg 2s, for an example. Berg 2s are considered violent crimes.
For those of you who don't know out there, a burglary to second degree is when you unlawfully entered someone's dwelling, which is a house, a residence where they live. Whether or not the person is home or not, it's still considered under New York state law a violent crime. There doesn't have to be any interaction with anybody that's at home. So Harold does pick up. So if you get a guy with a couple of Berg 2s.
We get a guy with a couple of Berg 2s. Are they eligible for JDP? If the DA consents. Yes,
the DA consents. Now that do you find getting consent from the DA difficult on certain charges, or do you see it?
I got a better question. What are they more likely to consent to? People that like, I don't want to. I said to people that look like me or people that look like Bob. Who's more likely to get JDP? Just ask them randomly.
You got to take it on a case by case basis.
Yeah, you got to take it on a case by case basis. But yeah. I will say that majority, we're still the minority as far as
population.
The drug court
population.
Period.
Right.
And there's
there's other factors behind it.
There's other factors behind it, but
right.
There's
see, I think a lot of that has to do because
I'm gonna ask those tough questions. Harold.
Okay, I'm ready for them.
A lot of that happens because for a guy like me,
I think they took it.
Or white, male coming up from a middle class or background, I may have gotten intervention earlier on, and not needed the help, whereas the minority communities, they lack that. They lack that support in the community to get the help. So they're more apt to have a criminal record, have a violent crime in their background, and make themselves not eligible to come in.
Not to mention, will lack an attorney, a paid attorney.
Or lack
a
paid attorney, which has a big impact on it.
Right.
But we talked about this under the marijuana show we had. How many, you can have 4 young black guys in a car.
Right.
They pulled over, the cop says, I smell weed. There's a gun in the car. All 4 of those kids are getting charged with that gun.
Right.
Okay, so someone's taking that charge.
Right.
Now you have a violent crime in your record. You could have been 18, 19 years old. They denied you YO because you had, you didn't get your paid attorney. 10 years go down the road, you get a drug charge. You may have had a drug problem.
Right.
You're not going to be eligible because it started out 8 years ago when you were in the car.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we have our first call tonight, so hold on. We're going to be coming on live. You are on live with Street Legal.
How you doing, Bob? My name is Daniel Noble. I know all three of you personally on different occasions.
Okay, Danny, we don't put names out there, but go ahead. We don't just. You want some questions for Harold here? We're good.
I just want to thank Mr. Bush for his years of service and everything he's done with helping people out from back when he was at Family Treatment Court. I think he's a wonderful asset for the court system, especially since he tries to work with everybody.
No, and I can attest to that. Like I told you earlier.
Thank you very much. I love you guys.
Danny, we appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay. Any questions for Harold? You have any questions for Harold while he's here?
My question is, what offenses make you eligible for drug court versus not? Does it have to be strictly a drug related charge?
No, it has to be. It can't. First of all, cannot be a violent crime, and it has to. Your drug use or drug addiction has to be the basis for committing that crime.
Correct.
Or a contributing factor to committing that crime. So, for instance, if you're shoplifting or stealing out of Home Depot or Walmart to feed a drug habit, a heroin habit, or a coke habit, and the reason you're doing that is a contributing factor is the drugs, you're eligible. Okay? But it's got to be legit.
Right.
It can't just be you stealing and selling the stuff on eBay and.
Okay. Yeah. All right, that's understandable. Thank you very much. I love you guys.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Call you later. Thank you. So back to where we picked up, Link. What?
Phone number, guys, for the other callers, 631-833-0000. That's 631-833-0000. Let's get those calls in. Let's get Harold Bush to get those good questions. What we was on was...
how many, like on a weekly basis, how many members of the judicial deportation program do you have going through right now? Like, what do you got?
Anywhere from... Since bail reform... Well, before bail reform, I'll put it to you like this. Our numbers were high. Anywhere from 100 to 180.
A week?
In the judicial diversion program.
Wow.
Carrying to like 180 active drug court contract cases.
Active or waiting to
sign the contract.
Be screened or sign the contract, yeah.
Right. All right, so just so our listeners out there understand, when you have your case referred to JDP or drug court, there's a process. And Harold will describe the process from being screened, entering a contract, the court either accepting the contract, DA consenting, not consenting. Right. Let's go through a little bit of how that process was. So I'm indicted, now I'm in front of a judge, and I want to get my case referred to JDP.
Okay.
You set up a screening.
Yes. Well, we fill out a referral form from the IAS judge, the judge that you're originally in front of. All right. Will come to
Hold on a
us.
second.
We got another call. Hold on, Hal. Hold that thought.
And call
You-
631
wait.
That's a jail call.
Yeah, that was a call from the jail. I guess they cut him off, but go ahead, Hal. So you got the referral form.
You get the referral form. You refer to JDP. Once I get the referral, I pull up the NICET, your rap sheet, make sure that you're eligible for the program one. But then I submit the whole application packet to my judge's law clerk. She looks over it. She's great. She looks over it. She'll let me know if I missed anything or
Right.
if there's something that I did miss and which makes them ineligible.
Right.
She'll let me know, and she'll let the defense attorney know as well.
Right.
All right. Once they're approved to be screened, the system that we have now, anybody that comes in today,
Right.
put in an application today, they're adjourned to next week. So we're not waiting 6 weeks
especially
usually.
with a guy that has a drug problem or a
somebody's
girl has a drug
active.
problem,
Right.
Yeah,
you lose them for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Sometimes you may lose them totally.
yeah.
They're gonna OD
Yeah.
or they're
So
gonna.
we
If
try
that's
to-
that jail call, I want to take it
We're
because
trying to get them right away.
I want to take that one.
And then there's a process of negotiating a contract, whether the DA is going to consent or not consent, and then you negotiate the contract with the judge. There's breakouts too.
Yes.
So in which the general JDP contract is 18 months, right?
The program is 18 months.
18 months. So, and then what a lot of people, that Harold said, Article 216, which we advise all of our clients to become as knowledgeable on as we are, it calls for your case, if successful, the statute allows for it to be dismissed. Doesn't mean you have to go to a misdemeanor. Doesn't mean you have to have any conviction on your record. It also calls for the sealing and/or dismissal of that case. So for all of our attorney friends out there, we got to start putting a little pressure on out there in Riverhead and try to move some of these cases dismissed, because the whole purpose of it was to have that person not have a criminal record.
Right.
And Harold, I don't know if we know too much about it, but I'm hearing through the Bar Association that they're supposed to be starting a similar program for DWIs. Is that going to be run by you guys or separate?
That is, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's going to be done in district court. My supervisor is in charge of that. He's running that. So
Any function not going to be going out in county court as well, or no?
no, I honestly I think those DWI cases will probably be referred to district court anyway.
Because
But I don't know.
alcoholism is as much of a problem as the drug use is,
course.
if not more,
If not, right. If
because
not
it's
more.
more socially acceptable.
Of course, yes.
Your biggest success story that you had since you've been in
Yeah.
JDP. Yeah, you don't got to say names.
Well, all graduates are a success story. Yeah.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Right.
There's
Your biggest. Everybody's
there's
got
a
their
lot.
biggest something they did.
Nah, actually, anybody that makes it through the program and I don't see them for another 5 years,
Right.
that's a success to me.
Oh, I meant like they went on to do something that you know about, like that is like great, and not just successfully completing the program.
Actually, believe it or not,
Right.
you talk about success. In my beginning in county court,
Right.
I did have one young man who graduated the program, and his idea was to join law enforcement
Wow.
in Colorado,
Yeah.
He did.
and he did.
He's in
And
law enforcement now.
Link, I could personally
Wow.
say on behalf,
Yeah.
That's dope, bro.
Yeah.
I could say on behalf of me and
Right.
my partner George, we have clients that have graduated the program that have
Yeah.
actually come back and thanked us. Their families thank us. They were messes before they went in there.
Yeah.
Complete messes. And trust the process. We keep saying trust the process.
Yes.
You know, you have to trust the process. We have a call coming in. You are live on Street Legal.
Hello.
We have Mr. Harold Bush here, our senior case manager, JDP. You have any questions for Mr. Bush?
I do. Harold, good evening. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Dan Russo from Suffolk Assigned Counsel.
All right.
For those of you who don't know, we have a caller in, Dan Russo, very prominent attorney in the county. He is in charge of the 18B program, which has I don't know, how many attorneys you got under your wing there, Danny?
About 125, I would say, on the criminal side.
Wow.
Okay, and they handle many of the criminal cases and family court cases in the county, and a lot of those cases go through the JDP program. Correct, Dan?
They sure do. And I want to thank you, Bob, for doing this show because, as you could probably attest to your audience, you and I probably in our social life, you go around to a lot of people who say, how the heck does anybody get into JDP? Why aren't we just throwing them in jail?
No, Danny, that's true. And the problem is, and listen, I don't mind telling my audience there, I'm almost 14 years sober. So at one point in time, the alcohol and the drugs were an issue in my life, and thank God I had the help and the financial resources and the family and friends behind me, or else I wouldn't be here. And I thank Harold for that too, because it's not something you have to be embarrassed to talk about. This is a social, ineptness to where people don't want to talk about it. It can happen to anybody, anybody's family, any financial status. We've seen some of the poorest, some of the wealthiest people that their kids or their brothers or sisters get involved in it. So it's there to help everybody.
Yes. I've had it in my own family, and I challenge anybody to say they haven't had it in theirs.
Right. That's correct, Danny. So again, we got to get over that stigma of asking for help. There's something wrong with. There's nothing wrong with asking for help.
Right.
There's something wrong with not asking for help.
Yep.
That's right.
And there's enough people there. Harold will help people, and I've seen any of the members of his team over there. Even if you're not in drug court, if you call him outside of work and you have a problem, he's going to be there. It's part of what's in his heart and what's in their work.
True.
Go ahead, Harold. You've had people contact you outside of work that aren't in the program. That
people who are not in the program, they call the job. They call looking for information.
Correct.
We can give them the information if they're looking for a treatment program. I have no area where help people out.
So Danny, maybe what we could do with Harold and the team over there, because we were talking about it earlier, is get some type of informational seminar we could put together so all of our 18B attorneys are, acutely aware of what provisions are allowed under 216, Article 216, and what's available. Because a lot of lawyers, like Harold tells, don't come in and push the envelope where they should on cases. Harold?
It's so true, and it's a big pet peeve of mine. Many of these lawyers are trying to just get through the court proceeding and get it done, when really we do have a responsibility. When we know our clients are they're in trauma, they're in trouble, and we know it. You can tell it all the time.
Correct.
And I think we have an obligation to see it through. And the lawyers who don't know what goes on in the drug court are really doing themselves a disservice, because Harold's team is saving lives, and Judge Golis is, I think, doing a great job there. Mm-hmm. We recently spoke about putting together a seminar where we could educate the lawyers on why it's so very important to seek help for our clients. And one of the things I wanted to ask tonight, and maybe, I don't know if you can ask this, I'm going to put Harold on the spot, but...
He likes to be on the spot, though.
Okay. Well, with so many people saying, oh, this is nonsense, he had all his drugs, or he sold these drugs, why don't we just put him in jail? Do we have statistics, Harold, on JDP graduates and recidivism? Because I'm certain those numbers make you look like a star and make the program look like it means something.
Danny, I can tell you personally, and you probably can say
Can we get those numbers?
You've handled numerous people put through JDP. I have not had a repeat offender come back that's graduated JDP.
I've had clients who have stumbled through JDP, and I think that's expected of people who are in a bad way.
Absolutely.
But I haven't had clients who have graduated the program who go out and commit more crimes. I think the public really needs to know that program works.
It works.
It does.
How?
I mean, honestly, like I said, I've been there since 2013, and with all of the people that have successfully completed our program, I probably can count on one hand how many have come back on a new case, a new charge, and not many.
Well, with that in mind,
but listen, I want to remind the audience out there: if you have a JDP contract, I like to refer to Harold as the Velvet Hammer, because if you mess up your contract and you violate, you're going to jail. I just want to tell you, whether it's for temporary, to straighten you back out, there is no BS in that program. It's not a fake it to make it job.
Right.
Listen, I've over the years, I've been very fortunate in my years with the courts that I've worked with very good judges that are on the same page as this panel is here right now, as far as helping people.
Well, Harold, if you're going to take Judge Goglis, you're going to take that part. You have to know it. You have to be sympathetic to the people. You're meeting people at the bottom of their life.
Yeah.
The bottom. And if you can't appreciate that, then you shouldn't be sitting in that part.
No, you shouldn't.
Because it takes a certain heart, softness, a tough love, we like to call it.
Tough love.
But you guys are saying this works.
But you guys are the same way.
Like, and even Mr. Russo saying that this works.
It works.
So why not open it up it sounds like the people who enter it and complete it, they really do want it to work. That's what I'm getting from it.
Yeah.
Now, I also want to say, why wouldn't we open this up to like more people? Like, why is it so limited to the target audience that it has? If it is a working thing, it should have a bigger exposure. More people should have access to that.
If I'm going to speak freely right now.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Again,
Buckle up, Danny.
people, if you commit a crime, you should, yes, you should be punished for
Correct.
what you do, but also at the same time know your rights, know what you're eligible for. Okay, just don't accept anything.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like you got people, because we used to have this thing that if older people, and me and my former judge, Judge Ep7, we had this conversation. People who have been in the system 3 times and they're older.
Right.
Those are the ones that we want because they're tired.
Yeah.
Tired.
They're
Right.
tired.
Right.
Harold, do you ever thought about like some of your graduates bringing them back in to speak to some of the people that are in?
We've talked about that.
Because that's some of your best information comes from your graduates.
We've talked about
That's
that,
true.
and the way that the program is set up now, we do have what we call a peer advocate.
Yeah.
So we have a peer advocate that comes to court,
Right.
and meets with, some of the.
Similar to like the AA program, has
Yeah.
a sponsor that's
Yeah.
many years in the program. I've gone to AA meetings, gone back as speakers, been invited several
Right.
times, and to hear it from someone who's lived it is different than hearing someone preaching it.
Again, and again, if I'm speaking freely,
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep it 100.
Harold, this is street legal. We speak freely
I'm
here.
keep it 100.
Right.
Society or people, if they know that certain people are not going to prison for certain crimes, that's
Right.
going to be a public uproar. To me, and honestly,
But
I'm keeping it 100.
Harold, and I've
That's
noticed that
upsetting to me.
until that happens
I
to their
hear
child,
you.
until that
Yeah.
happens to their
I hear
child,
you.
until it happens to their brother, to their sister, then all of a sudden they want all the answers. And I can sit here and test you, crime or criminal.
Bobby, I think one thing that the public needs to be educated on, and that Harold's hitting on it. Yeah, people do scream on certain crimes. You have to lock them up. You got to put them in a cage. But when they see that most of those people they're talking about that need to be locked up, they do a little piece of time, they get out, they commit more crimes.
Correct.
Because we've never addressed the underlying
We
problem.
had that, Danny. We had that on another show with Dr.
Right.
Reiner.
This is just frustrating to even like to revisit. It's a frustrating thing because we're talking about putting people in jail, right? And we're talking about an alternative to jail for certain people if you meet the criteria. But then sending the same sick people that just went and did 4 or 5 years because they didn't qualify back out into the streets with no education, with no correction. So I just, why would the program not be expanded to be? And I understand the public uproar, I really do. But would the public rather have people who have been corrected, or would they rather have people just go in and take a short break from the streets to come back to do the same things again?
Dan, we talked about Link. We talked about that on one of
Right.
the other shows. 48% is your recidivism rate. You're going to be reincarcerated within 1 year of release. 48% of those people. So we're not solving the problem. We're not fixing anything.
That's right.
And that costs all of us millions and millions of dollars a year to keep people incarcerated, the system going. And
You can fix them. I did, Mr. Russo, I did crimes out of necessity. I never committed a crime because it was like the cool thing to do, or it was like, let me try my hand at this. Anything I ever did, there was a push behind it that drove me to do that. And my alternatives, my options felt like they were so limited, and the time was running out all the time. It always felt like that. Like the time is running out. I gotta have this money.
Yeah.
And so it was always
Listen,
driven by that.
If you ask, intelligent people, they know the fact that drug use and poverty are hand in hand.
correct.
Right.
So if you don't lift people up from that, they don't have a way out, and they go back to those demons.
Hats off to you, Mr. Russo. I
And then,
agree.
Harold and Link will be the first, and I'll tell you what Mr. Russo and I have been working on to address some of the problems with the private lawyers. We have a group of our private attorneys, all well-established, well-respected criminal defense lawyers in the county, that Danny and I have been working together and working with the Bar Association now to put together a pro bono project where we're all going to agree to take X amount of cases a year pro bono and help
Right.
these individuals get through the system so they're not getting legal aid, they're not getting shoved. So Danny
Pro
and I
bono means without cost for anybody
correct.
who's not
And
clear about pro bono.
We're in the process of doing that. And Daniel will come on the show, in a couple of weeks when we get the finalization of that. But again, Dan, we've been working on that, and all the attorneys have been very receptive to it because we do see a difference in your representation when you show up there, Harold.
It's absolutely true, and we have an obligation to do it.
Correct.
We're happy to do it.
This is a good panel to be on today.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, and again, I'm gonna say this. I've been out there since 2013, and my former coworker who retired, Miss Elaine.
Shout out to Elaine. We love you.
We've seen a change. I've seen a change.
Miss Vecchio, we don't want to leave Miss Vecchio out either.
Well, that's the new team.
The new team. The new team.
The new team, and the new team has been a blessing as well. And we continue to move forward and try to help people out. You asked me about success stories.
Right.
Well, it's not a success story, but I had a young man today who's getting his breakout.
Yeah.
But he addressed the court because he picked up another charge. But
All right, before you finish that, because there's I don't want anybody left behind.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell them about the contract and what breakout even means, so that they
okay? So once you are eligible for JDP, you'll get another court date where you come in, you'll sign a contract. You have to be in treatment. We're gonna recommend treatment for you, whether it be outpatient, inpatient, sober house, whatever.
Yeah, let me stop it right there. When they recommend treatment, it's not what you want to do. It's what they deem is necessary for you.
Right.
So you're not going to come in there and tell Harold what kind of treatment you're going to get.
And I'll tell you, first thing I'll tell you is when you came in the building, did you see a Burger King sign outside the door of the county court building? There's not a Burger King sign.
It's
out
not
there,
have it
so
your
you don't
way.
Get it your way.
Right.
But anyway, so there's pros and there's cons to the contract. There's a reward and there's a sanction.
Right.
All right. So if you fail the JDP program, and it's not the first time. If you relapse, you're not going to get your breakout.
I can attest to that. They work with you. Everybody realizes that your recovery,
Right.
relapsing is part of your recovery. It's what you're doing about
But
that.
if you violate the contract by being a constant relapser, rearrested, new crimes,
Right.
your breakout is you get your prison sentence. So it could be anywhere between 1 to 1+1. We've even had breakouts as high as
5 years.
5 to 8.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would tell you, if you violate on your last day of that contract, you're getting the breakout.
You're getting the breakout.
You're getting the break. There's no, I made 14 months out of the 18. Just give me a break. Yeah, you're getting the break.
So
out.
every breach of that contract is not absolute.
It's a
go back to
contract.
jail. It's like they are respectful of the fact that people have problems.
But again,
Right.
I'm going to tell you, know what you're involved in.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Read the
Hey,
contract.
let me say this too, Bobby, before I leave you guys. I know you have a long reach in the community. If you've got politicians listening to this show and they want to go out and scream safer streets and safer communities, support JDP.
Danny, I agree.
I agree.
We're fortunate enough where the DA has agreed to come on one week, and so we're going to discuss that because a lot of our issues, Danny, is DA's office doesn't like to consent to JDP. They think it's like giving away the store. It's not
They
giving
don't
away the
have
store.
the cover of the community, the politicians, and they need to know the success rate of JDP. It improves lives and it makes people safer in their homes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Well, like they don't know that 50% of those people that got out of jail are going to go back within a year by
That's
doing
right.
something else.
Right.
So we're just creating a vicious cycle that's worthless,
Getting nowhere.
getting nowhere.
That recidivism thing is like that is the thing that really gets to me, because the correction has. Why would you even call it a correctional facility if it doesn't provide correction?
Exactly.
Well, that's
insulting.
a conversation for a long night.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to have many topics to talk about. Danny, I appreciate you calling in, and I look forward to working with you on these
Hal,
issues.
thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you, Danny.
Good night, guys.
Right, good night.
So, Harold, just wrap it up. You guys have had when did it start? 2009 the program came into effect?
2009 was the reform.
Was the reform Rockefeller drug laws. For those of you who don't know, Rockefeller drug laws were very harsh drug sentencing guidelines that were put into effect back in the 70s under Governor Rockefeller that, sent some people away for a long time for, relatively
portions.
small crimes.
Right.
And ruined families. It ruined lives.
From 2003 to 2013, you were family court?
Family court, yeah.
And working with in family court, you were mostly working with younger children, right?
Yes.
And what is the difference like in your experience because obviously they won't relapse as much as the older people would, because it's like,
oh, man,
right?
Kids are different. Before working in the courts, I used to work in the treatment programs anyway.
Right.
So I have substance abuse counseling in my background as well.
Okay.
So with kids, you're just planting the seed. That's all you're doing, because
Right.
you know, kids are gonna experiment regardless.
Right.
All right, but you hope that the seed that you planted when they're going through the court system or going through drug treatment, that you know, at some point that seed is going to be watered. Then they're going to, I got it now.
I do got one last question before we let you go, man, because I don't, I want to keep doing this. I want to stay on all night.
I can talk about this all day.
For everybody out there, Harold is a local product. He grew up in Suffolk County. He knows, for those out there.
Wheelie Heights.
He knows the streets as well as anybody knows the streets. You're not going to hide from Harold. You're not going to bullshit him when you start telling him where you're from, what's going on in your neighborhood is different. I can't do this. He knows.
Yeah. I didn't even know he was a drug treatment counselor, so you can't even get that off on him. But I want to say that it was a pleasure having you here tonight.
Thanks.
Also, my last question is, what is the return rate for people that what is the level of success rate? Like, let's say I get 100 people coming to the program.
Yeah, what's the
what can I expect from graduates out of that 100 people?
Off the top of my head, I give or take 75%.
Really?
That high?
I think it's kind of high.
That high? That's
like
really
I
high.
said, like I said, since I've been there since 2013 doing this, I've because we also have the luxury of having, because we're the only judicial diversion program in the state that has probation attached to us. Even though they're not on probation, but we have
the
probation officers that work with the JDP program.
Right.
And we used to be a time where we would do random checks to see, if any of our graduates return back to the system. Right. And we've been fortunate where not that many have come back.
I wasn't expecting 75%. That's way higher than what I thought.
That's a great graduation.
Yeah.
It's higher than some graduations in high schools.
I can only go by what I see. So, as far as judicial diversion program, Article 216, to me it works. But the individuals have to want it.
Change.
Okay. Success stories, because part of the program is you might get sanctioned, you might get locked up.
Right.
And again, like I said, I had the privilege of working with some great judges, and Judge Ilio being one, Judge Golglis, Judge Ep7. But we had a young lady way back when in the beginning that she came in, she tested positive, heroin addict, and the judge had to lock her up to get her clean so we could screen her to see if she's eligible for the program.
Right,
All right. So, long story short, she made it through the program. She got accepted into the program. She made it. And the day of her graduation she looked at the judge and she said, the best thing that you did for me was by remanding me.
Right.
Locking me up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you cannot you can't decide not to use heroin today.
You have to hit bottom before you can rebound.
You have to hit bottom.
Everybody's bottom is somewhere else. Some people, the bottom may be the arrest. Some people, may be spending that. Sometimes, Harold, you do in custody screenings with the person sitting there for 30 days because you just can't let them out.
Right.
Because they're that bad.
Well,
we do in custody screenings.
And we put those.
Bitch, they moan, they complain.
We put those to the head, though. We push them to the head.
I get it,
I
but
don't like them locked up like that.
No, again, we want to thank Judge Golglis. When he first came out there, he took over for Judge Ep7. He started a little rough, but we love him now. We love him now. He found that heart. It was small in the beginning, but it's there. It's there, and he's well intended and very involved with every one of the participants in drug court.
Do me a favor.
What?
I gotta say this.
Okay.
All right. When you come to court,
9:30. I know. Sorry.
No. First impressions are long lasting but changeable.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. I grew up in Wyandanch, Wheatley Heights. I've been
Shout out to the
Brooklyn, Bronx. I've been to the boroughs. I've hung out in the hood. It's different when you're going in front of a judge.
Correct.
Presentation is important.
Correct.
I don't expect everybody to wear a suit.
Right.
But, wear a button-down shirt.
No shorts.
No shorts.
Decent shoes.
Because your presentation means a lot. Judges do look at that.
They look at that.
Right.
Correct.
Like when you come to court,
you respect the process.
Okay, yeah. So if you got your pants hanging down, you already, you're labeled.
Right.
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 Like you don't care. You're showing disrespect.
Correct.
That's how they see it. So what I try to tell everybody when you come to court, especially if you're a person of color, black or brown, you know, khaki pants, button-down shirt, your presentation is worth something.
It shows you're taking this charge
I
serious.
got to be the devil's advocate on that, okay? Because you really want to dress up to go meet the person who's going to like slay you. Now before you finish, now you know for a fact that you got another person who may be charged with the same thing that you charged with, right? And because they have whatever representation they got the complexion for the connection, he may not get slayed for what you about to get slayed for, right? So you about to go in here. I'm not gonna dress up for you to do me dirty. I will not dress up for my execution.
But here's the thing though.
Yes.
I think you're looking at it from a negative point of view. You're looking in, that guy's gonna do me dirty. I don't look at it that way. This guy's got my fate in his hands. I want him to have the best impression of me, so he doesn't do me dirty.
I guess that's a double-edged sword.
I hear what you're saying,
Right.
A part of me can agree with you.
Yeah.
But working with these judges,
Right.
I know that
It
that
makes a
person that
difference.
comes in wearing a suit or a shirt and tie, that judge views them differently.
Will he sentence them
it's
any
true,
less
'cause you-
harshly?
Yeah, you're gonna have
he
the
might,
DA.
he might give them the consideration. Yes,
You're gonna have the DA up there reading off of a NICES, which is your criminal record, to that judge. And if you dressed, well, like Harold says, your pants hanging down and you look sloppy and all that, that's what's going to be your thing. What the DA's reading, you look over, yeah, I could see that. But the DA reads that, and you dress there in the khakis and the button-down shirt. Maybe that's not the guy that's on the paper here. Maybe he's changed. Maybe he wants to change.
An outfit will do that?
100%. 100%. Like,
Yes,
you're,
yes.
the first impression of somebody is what you see of them, not what they
Right.
say.
Right. I don't want y'all to sit here and think like I don't think that that's
No,
true.
no.
I have to do this so
We
that the
tell our
viewers
cli-
understand
listen, I love you
that
too.
it's
We
this
tell our
deep.
clients lose the jewelry in there too.
Right. When I go to court, I go to court dressed accordingly and respectfully. What I'm saying is, there are people who feel like what I just said, that little example that I just did, and they feel like that. Like I'm not gonna go get dressed for my execution, but guys understand that impression does mean everything. The way you show up does mean everything. It's almost like they view that as intention. You intend to show respect for the courtroom, or you intend to disrespect the courtroom. So,
Because it shows.
Right.
You know what? Anybody can mess up. It happens to anybody's family. But it's showing, I messed up, I effed up, but I want to change. I don't
Right.
want to keep effing
Right.
up. I don't want to keep messing up.
I'm gonna take the steps
This is
necessary
this
to
is
get
my
there,
bottom,
right.
whether it's jail or not jail. At least
Right.
let me show some respect. Tell this judge, I'm sorry, I messed up. I don't want him.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
It shows.
Yeah.
You have
And
to.
I definitely think you got to be like almost apologetic in there, and so you gotta just it's certain criteria you do have to follow. You do have to dress nice. You do have to stand straight. You do have to address them correctly, respectfully, and all those things. Your Honor.
Lincoln, all the times you're in court,
Right.
you have very little conversation with the judge. Yes or no answers. So he's looking at you and judging you not by what you're saying and what kind of man you are,
Right.
but what he's visioning.
Right.
So you need to change that
Right.
as quick as you can.
Immediately.
The drug court is different though.
Because they
With
make you
our
answer questions.
with our judges, we're talking to. He's talking
Yeah.
to them now. He's
Right.
building a relationship.
Correct.
He's getting to know them.
Right.
You know.
Tell me
'cause
what you did this
There's
weekend,
even
you know.
sometimes that I gotta,
Proud of
say to the judge like, Judge, this person doesn't have.
The means.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what they have
Yeah.
is what they have right now.
Right.
This is it.
Yeah.
And he has to take a look at that, and he's like, okay, so what can we do to help this person?
That's dope too.
All
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
we do have there's a thing called women have it where they have this Dress for Success type program. We need to get that for the males also,
Right.
but we do like
Right.
it makes
And
a difference.
shout out to all the judges that really do got the community best interest at heart. I'm not saying this is like me being in love with none of that part of it. This is just me saying the ones who really do have the community's best interest at heart, the ones who ain't just there for a job and whoever they see in front of them is just a
Yes.
folder. The ones who are there because they care, they got a heart, they have understanding, they have compassion. Shout to y'all. And the other ones, you know, whatever.
Yeah, we appreciate all the hard work everybody does. But again, I appreciate everybody tonight. Mr. Bush coming out on our street legal. You're one of our guests. You get to take the mug home for free,
Yeah.
Harold. Okay.
Thank you for coming out. Yo, you made our show. This, like, I don't want to get nobody jealous, but I really love
This is
this
a good
show.
show.
I really did love this show.
We're gonna have Harold back
I
on one night.
didn't know what to expect.
We're gonna have Harold on one
Yeah.
night with the doctor because you two would have a lot of cross-referencing it
man,
because there's the psychological issues,
It's the
the
mental
drug
health.
issues.
Yeah, you don't know
It
what
is the
came
mental
first.
health.
Chicken
It's
or
the
the
mental
egg.
health.
You don't know
Correct.
what came first.
So
Right.
a lot of the drug use is to feed the mental health issue.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
You know, but
Everybody, good night.
appreciate
Thank y'all for joining
Hey,
us,
everybody.
man. Street Legal. Peace.
Instagram.
Top of the A, top of the day, top of the kings. And not to brag, the chain's expensive, a lot for the ring. Been through a lot, even had to cop a squat in the Bing. But that's okay, cause I came home and I hopped in that thing. And dead or alive, that's just the way the streets leave you. It's the difference between the streets and street legal.